Hey there, guys. We're going to be going for another rank 1 strategy on the Manticore. This time we are leaving Chizuru at home. We're also not going to use Sky. We're going to take big boy Olivera to carry this one, along with Esther helping a little bit. But this strategy is going to basically really rely on the new rod from Morgana. So let me show you real quick how insane this rod is. Before I get started, let me tell you, do not upgrade this rod, or do not item world the rod until you have upgraded it with the 12-turn mission on Morgana. If you item world the base form rod, it will bug it and you cannot upgrade it. And you need the upgraded form for this specific strategy. So don't run it in item world until you have upgraded the final version of the rod. That's probably a bug. It'll probably be fixed eventually, but for now it's not fixed. Anyway, the reason this rod is so insane is high spirits. Every time the battle starts, a unit dies, or a unit brave shifts, you're going to get 1,500 morale, and this can go off multiple times per turn sometimes, and I will show you during the fight why this is so insane on your provoker. So Kaito in both forms is using the Celestite rod with equip rod materia, or you could use honorable rod art if you don't want to buy that. It's a 4-star TMR. Anyway, I'll show you the rest of the gear at the end of the video, but this is going to be the team. Let's get in here and get a rank 1 clear, and then I'll show you the gear and explain it in more detail. Okay, so we're going to start in the, you saw that 1,500 morale on Kaito right there? That's from the rod on the battle start. Now we're going to shift Kaito and get another 1,500 morale. So we're going to shift Kaito from this rod, and we're going to use from the Phoenix Esper a Phoenix Guard to re-raise himself because he's our provoker. Now make sure he's higher in the party order than Maeve. So Maeve to the base form. And we're going to start Maeve in the shift for auto buffing, then go on the base. Then we're going to do practice lore, effective strategy, and natural protection. You might be wondering about why am I provoking with Maeve. That's because it gives her mitigation, but more importantly, Maeve is behind Kaito in the party order, and Maeve is not wearing any passive provoke gear at all. If she wears even a single piece, she's going to beat Kaito in threat. So make sure Maeve is not wearing any passive provoke gear. That way you can then provoke and you'll be tied with Kaito and he will win from being higher in the party order. Anyway, Sylvie is going to Gravel Egg for the Earth Imbue, and then Vines and Petals for the Resist, Kresnik, Morale Fill. Olivera starts in the base form, then goes to the shift form. If you're using an EX18 party, this skill will not be available because your morale will be too high. This skill is only available at low morale. But if it is available on turn 1 in the shift form, Building Crescendo, Rehearsal Session, and Double Symphonic. And then Esther is using a wind weapon in the shift form. We're going to Shatterbolt, Energizing, and then Quantum Storm on, it really doesn't matter who. So there we go. Now watch Kaito. Now at the end of the turn, because we brave shifted, 1,500 more morale. Now watch when Kaito dies. When he dies, 1,500 more morale. We have gotten 4,500 morale from Kaito on turn 1 because of that rod. Can you see how insane the morale generation of this rod is and why it is such a big deal? You go and get that rod out of the Morgana legendary version. Okay, more morale fill, etc. Auto casting, really awesome. Anyway, Sylvie in the base form is now going to Compassionate to fill morale gauge. I'm sorry, to fill mana gauge. We're also going to, actually we are going to Burgeoning Defense for more morale and mitigation, and we're going to Resolve for healing. We need that healing over time. Kaito is again going to Brave Shift and re-raise himself. Make sure you Brave Shift, because we want to keep activating that rod. So we're going to go ahead and Phoenix Guard again to re-raise himself, because currently Kresnik is too busy. Olivera back to the base form, and you see how now excess morale, we can't use Building Crescendo anymore. So if your party is EX18, you can't use it at all. It doesn't really matter, it's fine though. Anyway, we're going to Musical Magic, Inspiring Finale, and Double Perfect Melody. That's going to deal dark damage, which is going to help seal the boss. Esther to the base form. We're going to Magnus and double LB fill. Maeve is on Tetra for wind damage. We're going to use Aero which is a wind spell to deal wind damage to seal the boss. We got to seal the boss every turn, so there we go. And then Kresnik is going to imbue the boss because turn 2 is crazy painful. And this allows us to not take a ton of damage. Alright, so, death, Kaito raises, 1500 more morale. Love that rod, love it. Anyway, as you can see, look at it, it's turn 2. It's turn 2 and we're almost maxed on the morale gauge. This rod is the solution to all your morale problems. Anyway, wait for the attacks to finish. Okay, so this turn, Sylvie is going to seal. Sylvie, in her shift form, is using a wind and earth weapon. So we're going to triple. We're going to do Blessing of Earth to get that 100% Earth Amplify ready. And then Cheerful Paladin Strike twice to fill more morale. And more importantly, to seal the boss. Esther will do her LB to get the field up. Olivera is now going to Brave Shift. And we're going to start stacking Focus. We're going to use Magic Boost from Dark Rain's TMR. Maeve on this turn is going to You're a Natural for Beast Mitigation and Beast Killer. We're going to Wild Guard for Mirage, and we're going to Refresh Cover with Natural Protection. Kaito is going to Brave Shift. Now Kresnik will take over re-raise duties, so now Kaito can do Deep and Double Destabilizing to put a better break on the boss. And Kresnik will triple White. We're going to Courageous twice. And actually, you know what we're going to do? Whoops. Oh my god. We're going to actually Libra the boss. This is just for my own personal inventory. So we're going to Libra, and we're going to re-raise on Kaito. Because I've actually never Libra'd the boss yet. There we go. Boss is Libra'd. There we go. Okay, so again, Kaito is going to die and come back. More morale for us. There's morale. Boom. Some gravity damage on Kaito. Don't worry about that. And here it is. Recovering, etc. Okay, we're going to be bursting on turn 5, by the way. Look at the morale gauge. We're maxed morale on turn 3. Or turn 4, I guess. We could burst this early, but we're not ready to burst yet. We're going to burst soon, so don't worry about it. We're bursting next turn. Olivera, another stack of Focus. Esther is now going to Magnus and refill her LB gauge. Maeve on this turn is going to just reapply You're a Natural. We're going to put up Strategy again, and we're going to just morale fill. We don't really need the morale fill, but whatever. It's on my turn chart. We're going to do it. All right, Kaito, once again, is going to shift and break. So we're going to Deep and Double Destabilizing. Sylvie on this turn is going to Insect Killer on Esther. We're going to I've Got Your Back on Olivera to give him a bigger LB damage buff. And then we're going to Cheerful Paladin Strike to deal wind damage to the boss to seal him. And then Kresnik is going to do AoE Re-Raise. We're going to do Potion, and we're going to do Antioxidant. Okay, so we're going to burst next turn. Morale gauge is nice and full, which really helps our damage, etc. Okay, so there's the re-raise on Kaito. There's the more morale. So awesome. The boss has no accuracy on turn 4, so very, very easy to survive this. Okay, so turn 5 is going to be our burst turn. Now we're going to do some buffs and all beforehand, though. Now because Kaito keeps dying, he's losing all his buffs, so his damage is going to be basically non-existent almost. But we're gonna help Kaito a little bit. All right, wait for the auto-casting. Okay, Sylvie in the shift form is going to do her LB to buff up the party for LB damage. Maeve is going to triple. We're going to You're a Natural again to... I'm sorry, no we're not. No we're not. Maeve is going to Practice Lore, Feral Instinct to imbue Earth Element to Kaito. And we're going to just put up cover again. Natural Protection. Okay, so now Kaito's re-imbued. So now Esther's going to LB. Kaito is going to shift and shifted LB to match Esther. You know, keep in mind, Kaito shifted LB as... I'm sorry, Kaito in the shift form is using a double-handed rod. His damage is going to be terrible, but, you know, he's support chaining. Olivera is going to go to the base form and base form LB, and Kresnik is going to quad Dartga from the Anima Esper to match our Olivera. Now make sure you're building Olivera's base form for morale gain. Now this is not going to be a massive, massive overcap like Chizuru Clear will be, but we should pretty safely 2.5 or higher. So let's go ahead and do our chaining. Also, we're going to stop real quick. I'm going to look at the focused stat of Olivera. 12,405 magic thanks to Dark Range TMR. Go Olivera. Okay, so here's our damage. And let's see what kind of damage we did. Hopefully we overcapped by a lot. It is depending on variance. 2.76. So like I said, this is not like a massive overcap strategy. That would like involve Chizuru. Anyway, we did perfect score, so whatever, good enough. Okay, so now, of course, the boss has threshold buffs, and Kaito is the absolute MVP for that. He didn't die because the boss doesn't death on this turn, so that's fine. It doesn't really matter anymore because the morale's finished anyway. So we're going to unpredictable, crashing waves to get rid of the boss's all the buffs, and then deep submersion to break the boss. Okay, let's see. Esther is going to... before we do that, let's have Sylvie go to the base form. And she's going to Petals, Vines, and Resolve. We're going to need that healing. Maeve is going to deal wind damage this turn. We got to seal the boss. So wind damage from Maeve. Kresnik can do Potion, Remedy, and we're going to re-raise on Kaito. Always re-raise your Provoker. Olivera in the base form is going to Musical Magic and triple Perfect Melody. Yeah, making sure I'm doing this right. And Esther is going to just do her thing, Magnus, and double get ready. Okay, so we're still imbued with Earth from Maeve doing Feral a few turns ago. So here is the damage. You know, back to the death every turn. You know, Kaito is continuously refilling the morale gauge. Maeve is tanking this no problem. Okay. And we're going to burst again on turn 7. It is possible that on turn 7 we even kill the boss. If so, great. If not, you know, finish him off on turn 8. No big deal. So Esther is going to LB. Olivera is going to LB again. Kresnik is going to quad Dartga to match our Olivera. We're going to shift Kaito. Now, if Kaito's LB was ready, use that. If it's not ready, we're just going to do the Vision Card skill, raise it Blazing Red Flash. If you don't have the Vision Card, give Kaito Eye of the Dragon, so he always has permanent access to Extreme and Nova frames. We're going to go ahead and attack in a magic buff. Sylvie, on this turn, is going to shift. We're going to use the Earth Magnus as the first skill. Then we're going to Gravel, Egg Basket, and then we're going to Insect Killer on Esther again. Okay, and Maeve is going to deal wind damage. We got to deal wind damage in case we don't finish off the boss. Okay, let's go ahead and deal our chaining here. So the boss may die. If so, great. If he doesn't, whatever. We'll do it again next turn. Okay, heavily overkill the boss on the second burst. Great, awesome. There it is. There's a perfect rank 1 score with Olivera. We almost damage capped on the second burst, but of course we didn't have the 100% wind amp at that point, or the 100% earth amp. But whatever. And anyway, if you don't kill the boss that turn, you know, the boss will attack, Maeve will cover, and you will just burst again. You know, you can use skills to refill LB. Just, you know, just keep going. Just keep your buffs up. Always deal wind and earth damage, and you'll be fine. So here's the breakdown. Like I said, Kaito is geared as a support, so his damage, you completely ignore it. Esther, you know, big damage, but Esther also was getting the 250 Insect Killer buff, so that helps. And then Olivera. Olivera only had one focused burst, so he only focused for his burst on turn 5. His second burst did not have focus, so it wasn't really strong. But Olivera, like I said in my news video, Olivera, very, very strong after that intrinsic. Okay, let's go ahead and show the team. So in slot 1, passive provoke Kaito on Phoenix with the re-raise skill learned on Phoenix. Both forms using Celestite Rod. Other than that, like, I gave him some mana regen. I gave him, like, technically speaking, DPS, the Hyo card, and the shift form. Like, I mean, it didn't even... You might as well gear, like, all support. He's not going to deal damage with the setup. But there it is. Base form, you know, mana reduction, etc. So there was Kaito, passive provoker. Maeve, we start her in the shift form. with just some auto buffing. This is honestly not even that important. And then the base form. The base form is using no passive provoke gear whatsoever. Keep in mind, Runda's shield has passive provoke on it. Do not use that. If Maeve has any passive provoke at all, then she'll overtake the threat level of Kaito, and then she'll get the death, and we don't want that. So full evasion, a little bit of earth and wind resist, full evasion, some physical bulk, and there we go. Thankfully, she gears for evasion very easily, and then the power cut card. Sylvie, dual wielding in both forms, because as I've explained, dual wielding will double cast this this morale fill from the card she has. So other than that, whatever, literally whatever. It doesn't even matter. Oh, but she is using a wind and an earth weapon in the shift form. So if you don't have the paintbrush, you can just give her like Lion Saber. If you don't have that, you can give her a dual wield, one-handed wind, one-handed earth, etc. Because that way she can seal the enemy in the other phases. Now this is kind of important too. In the base form, a lot of mana reduction and Philosopher's Stoneseeker. This is not required, but if she gets mana drained on turn 1, this will allow her to always cast her skills after a mana drain. If you don't own Philosopher's Stoneseeker, then just pray to RNG that Sylvie is not the mana drain target on turn 1, and if so, you might have to just try again. But after turn 1, the mana drain should never be a problem again. Esther in the base form, LB damage versus bugs and beast. She is able to max everything. We gave her the morale card. Maxed. And then shift form is using, again, a wind and an earth weapon. If you don't own the Lion Saber, give her a weapon in both hands. Other than that, do not use her TMR or STMR in the shift form. We don't want her auto-casting cover, which she will do if she's using her trust passive. Other than that, Dragon's Brush, Call of the Wild. That way she can do Storm Bolt on turn 1. It helps for morale gain. And yeah, start her in the shift form. Olivera in the base form is using his intrinsic ability. Also the Dazzle card. As I've explained, this is just incredibly strong on him. So here is his setup, and then he's got maxed LB, maxed Beast, and maxed Insect Killer. So he is literally maxed on everything with this build, and he's got 8. His base form is Magic, not MP. So the base form has 7,800 Magic power, and then here's the build. There we go. Shift form is just support with Magic Boon equipped. So just whatever, and then Magic Boost from Dark Rain so he can focus. And then Kresnik, literally whatever. But he does need Irene's Ring, and he needs to be on the Anima Esper for Dark Galern to support chain with Olivera. Other than that, just, whatever. Stoneseeker in case he gets mana drained. If you don't own it, just hope you don't get mana drained. Shift form, etc. Treasured Ring and Obsidian Bracer in the shift form. We start in the shift form. Also, notice he is dual wielding with a morale card. Now, you don't need that much morale with the rod from Morgana, but yeah. So the Morgana rod is your salvation for morale problems. Give it to your provoker and let them just spam that morale every turn. Okay, here is a second rank 1 clear using different DPS. It's using 3 new units. We're using Maeve, Esther, and Olivera instead of Runda, Chizuru, and Sky. We are still kind of relying on Kaito, Sylvie, and Kresnik, but honestly, Kresnik can be replaced now that we know about that rod. As far as replacing Sylvie and Kaito, that is a problem for another video. Okay, see you guys in a bit.